started playing classical piano, started studying classical piano when I was around 7 years old, and then continued till I was in high school, and then figured out that I should try and write some songs when I was around 17, and then have been playing songs ever since. My earliest influences would have to be boiled down to classical music and the Beatles. That's what I grew up on. And then there are also these really great Russian bard singers that were just people that played guitars, usually acoustic guitars, and sang very poetic lyrics. But then, you know, as I got to America, you know, I got, and we moved to the Bronx, so then there was all these other influences that came in, like a lot of Latin music that I'd never heard, like Latin rhythms, because we lived in a neighborhood where there was just like a lot of music that I'd never heard coming from cars, or even top 40 things coming from stores, or, you know, blasting out of people's windows. And so all of that, of course, like made a big impression. As I've been making records, the amazing thing that has happened is, you know, at first, all I had was, you know, a piano and a voice, so I tried to do as much as I could with that. And then, you know, as I got a chance to go into the studio, you know, you get more toys, and the more toys you get, the more you're like, oh, you know, now I could experiment with sounds, and now I could experiment with production techniques. So I'm a nerd, and I could just sit there for hours figuring out, you know, stuff about mixes and mastering, and I like all that stuff. So I think with every record, the way things sound has been now the new frontier, and that's where I've just sort of naturally been going and developing. It's really hard to do things like what's your best show or favorite place to play, because a lot of it has to do with things that you can't really put your finger on. It's just all these things come to be. But I have to say that when I got to play like the Sydney Opera House, 2 nights at the Sydney Opera House, you know, or the most recent tour I did was in South America, so that whole tour was just mind-blowing. And definitely Radio City here in New York. I mean, that's, I think, the most magical venue ever on the whole planet, Radio City is.